Of course, for the Nigerian players and, of course, for Coach Justin Madugu, he has said he's sorry and he takes full responsibility for not helping Nigeria make it to the semifinals and also booking an automatic ticket to the FIFA Women's World Cup. But the question is, has the apology been accepted by Nigerian football fans? What will happen to Nigeria if we do not make it to the World Cup? And in the local parlance, they say nobody could die, because Super Eagles have failed to qualify for 2 consecutive World Cups and nothing has changed with the NFF. And now the Super Falcons are on the verge of totally missing out of next year's FIFA World Cup, which has never happened for the Super Falcons in a very, very long time. We've got Amara Obah who joins us, and Onyechi Obara would also be on standby all the way from Casablanca to give us more updates on what's happening over there, especially after that game between Nigeria and Cameroon. Amara, I had a conversation with you last night, and you were not happy. The emoji you sent was a sad one, and it just also shows that a lot of Nigerians, not just you, a lot of Nigerians are not happy, especially after knowing that Nigeria's Super Falcons are not qualifying automatically for next year's FIFA Women's World Cup. What is your feeling like, especially ahead of that game against South Africa?
It's hard to wrap up my feelings, honestly, because I feel sad, anger, disappointment, not surprised though. So much emotions, but not surprised, because if you followed Super Falcons over the years, and especially the WAFCON of last year, you saw this coming. But I'm just shocked that we all allowed it to happen, or rather the Federation sat back and allowed it to happen. The former coach of the Super Falcons, talking about Maeva Nyadjou, in one of the podcast episodes, did mention that other countries are catching up with Nigeria, and we are failing to do the investments we need to do for these girls, because, like I said, you can't say, oh, we're the champions, we'll always win it, and we'll always get there, we'll always qualify, without putting the necessary preparation needed for you to do well when you get tournaments like this. And unfortunately for us this time around, that failure has caught up with us, and it's going to be a very long road for us now, qualifying for the World Cup. I don't want to say it's a very high chase, because it so happened to the Super Eagles, but it's going to be sad that in the same calendar year, Super Falcons and the Super Eagles failed to make the World Cup. But like you said, Super Eagles missed twice, nothing happened. Well, I don't think heaven will fall if Super Falcons failed their own as well.
You don't think heavens will fall even if the Super Falcons fail to qualify for next year's FIFA World Cup? We've also got Onyechi Obara, who joins us all the way from Casablanca. I'd love to see Onyechi in a very, very happy mood and also very excited for the Super Falcons. Sometimes I call her Mama Africa because she does love women's football, especially Super Falcons and the Banyana Banyana of South Africa. But hey, Super Falcons are out of the Nations Cup. We are not going to be defending our title. We will not be winning an 11th cup. We are not qualifying for the World Cup automatically. What is the feeling like over there in Morocco? And have Nigerians forgiven Justin Madugu, because fingers are pointing towards the coach?
All right, Tudoka, we're live here in Casablanca. Just coming off that match that has really toppled a lot of things in Nigerian football. It's a good thing that you are patting me at the back and punching me at the face at the same time, but I'll take it. That is what, being patriotic and being supportive of the Super Falcons has brought to me. Yes, not a good day. A lot of fans, a lot of journalists disappointed at the moment, but I will not be giving you I can't give you the exact feeling that journalists are having, or even Nigerians are having, but I would bring with you a sport journalist who is covering this competition all the way from Nigeria. I've got Francis Omokwa joining me live right now, and I would like to test his pulse concerning the feeling right now, how he feels about that disappointment of not making it to the semi-final of the competition, nor even qualifying by automatic ticket for the FIFA Women's World Cup. We've got Francis Omokwa. Francis, you're live on News Central TV. Tell me, what is the feeling at the moment? Because after that game yesterday, I know everywhere went silent, and we couldn't get some journalists reacting to all that has happened. But what is the reality after the dust has set in?
The mood is bad. The mood is not exciting at all. Nigerians, no matter where they are feeling so bad because this is the first time in a long time that Nigerian football is going through this process. Just in one day, Nigeria junior national team, under 20, failed to make it, lost 4-1 to Burkina Faso. Prior to this time, the Super Eagles couldn't make it to the World Cup. The under 17 has not been able to make it to the FIFA World Cup as well. Then the Super Falcons also battling to see how they can qualify for the World Cup, which is something that is not known to Nigeria. The feeling is so bad. Back home, we are here in Morocco, and the feeling we are getting is that a lot of the journalists in Nigeria want the Nigeria Football Federation board to go as soon as possible. Of course, they are also calling on the federal government to wade into this issue immediately without wasting time. Last night we were having a discussion online with a lot of journalists, Nigerian journalists, and their conclusion was this board has done nothing. They've not been able to do anything to improve Nigerian football. Okay, so I just feel that it is not just having the national team not doing well, but it's also degrading the level of our reportage.
All right, if I would butt in there. Francis, are we going to be blaming this performance or this exit of the Super Falcons of Nigeria? Are we going to blame it on the federation or the player performance on the pitch of play?
How many friendly matches did they play before this tournament? Just one friendly was even cancelled. So it was the responsibility of the Nigeria Football Federation to ensure that these girls were properly, put in the right shape for the tournament. Ghana did not qualify. Cameroon did not qualify through the qualifying stages, but they had friendly matches to prepare them. Look at what is happening today. Ghana also did theirs. Okay. They were in Dubai, they were in Saudi Arabia. They did a lot of friendly.
All right, but the girls put up a great performance yesterday. We saw spectacular play in the second half, rejigged Super Falcons, but could not just be clinical in front of the net. Was it a day we had the opposing goalkeeper be so wonderful for the indomitable Lionesses, or a day where they could not just communicate, judging by that last-minute miss by Oshuala and Okoronkwo?
The last-minute miss was just a process that would have, redeemed Nigeria's image. But prior to that very, incident that happened, what did the Super Falcons? We all saw the Super Falcons in the first half. They never gave their best. It was only in the second half. Now, if you look at some of the players that are also in the team, people are also criticizing what merit was taken into consideration to have such players come back to the Super Falcons. When you have the younger ones that would have done their best to ensure that... You
mentioned the particular players for us to pinpoint them.
The reason is quite... what's his name now?
Who are you looking for, the coach?
Not the coach. I wanted to mention the name of the player, the oldest in the team. She's a mother.
You're passing the ball back to me. I need to know what player you are referring to.
Let's just leave that. Because I wouldn't want a situation where I'll start calling names and it might not do well doing that. Okay. But the fact remains that we need to start looking forward and start putting in place developmental, plans to groom, to discover players that will take over from the aging ones. Just last few days ago, all right, when we were at Rabat, I made mention of cash incentives. A lot of people never knew what I was talking about. They felt, come on, why must Frankie be criticizing cash incentives? You don't do that. There are a lot of... How many times did you hear right here?
Are you hinging that cash incentive on this poor performance or this exit?
A lot of people are already saying that. They feel they were over-pampered in the first place. That is what journalists in Nigeria are saying at the moment. They were over-pampered. You don't do that in the open. Even if you want to do it, you don't bring it in the open or bring it out in the open to tell a lot of people that, hey, we are giving them $10,000 and things like that. Okay. It makes players to start feeling as individuals to perform. so that they can get what they want to get.
Okay. Thank you so much. You just heard from Francis Omokwa, of course, a Nigerian journalist who is covering the games over here and also was disappointed at the exit of the Super Falcons yesterday in the hands of the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon. But you must remember that Cameroon did not go through the path of the qualifying stage of this competition. They were wild cards, if you want to call it that. Wild cards in this competition, but now have picked the automatic ticket to the Women's World Cup. In Group C, another team is there. They are making their debut at this competition, but they have picked a World Cup ticket and will be making their debut in their debut WAFCON. They will be making their debut at the Women's World Cup come 2027. Malawi is still in this running for this title, and it will not shock me if they clinch the title at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for that submission. And of course, hearing from Francis as well, we just hope that Nigeria would have what it takes. Because, I mean, I'm sure the camp, the mood in the camp will be down at the moment. But do you think the girls have a little bit more to just give against South Africa to help Nigeria at least qualify for the intercontinental playoffs like the Super Eagles of Nigeria did as well?
Udoka, yes, the girls are really down at the moment. I could tell from their reactions yesterday. We saw the first player who went through the mixed zone, that's Michelle Alozier, was in tears. Saw that disappointment in her face. We could hear from Christiana Ucheibe, that's Christy Ucheibe, apologizing to Nigerians, telling them that, oh yes, we didn't give you what is expected. We're sorry about that. We heard from the coach of the side, Justin Madugu, who says he takes full responsibility of that loss, and he's sorry to Nigerians, saying the next focus would be the playoffs. Yes, the playoffs. Look, I've never been so scared before, but at the time when Nigeria lost to Malawi, I knew, is this going to be a good campaign for Nigeria? That was the question I asked myself. And right now it has dawned on the Federation, it has dawned on Nigerians, it has dawned on journalists that it was just a bad campaign from start to when we exited. I watched the game between Morocco and South Africa. I tell you, African teams have left I get am before. They've left that conversation. I get am before, no be property. That is what this is about. They have invested. They have been able to rejig their technical system. They are already using the current technical, advantage against a team that will always sit on experience. And I tell you that South Africans will give us a run for our money, judging by how they played Morocco. They gave them pace for pace, energy for energy. The momentum in the first half was really, on the same pedestal. And you could say that if South Africa is going to face the current Super Falcons of Nigeria with the way they have run their campaign from this WAFCON, they will give them a run for their money. There will be a lot of cause of concern if South Africa faces the Super Falcons with this. So the only thing to do right now, dust themselves off the mentality of this losing mentality and make sure that they go head on again. We face South Africa in 2024. En route to the finals of this competition. Yes, Nigeria defeated South Africa, but I tell you that the same South Africa has seen that Nigeria is the team to beat. If Malawi can do it, if Cameroon can do it, South Africa believes that they can do it.
All right, I'm actually afraid for the Super Falcons of Nigeria, but thank you very much, Onyeka Obaro, for your time, and continue to stay safe over there. And of course, you'll give us better coverage of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. In as much as Nigeria is out, we believe that you will give us everything from Morocco. Thank you for joining, and have a pleasant day. All right, I've still got Amara Obah. The question is, do you think Nigerians will forgive Justin Madugu? And do you agree with the NFF being booted out because they seem to have done nothing for football in Nigeria?
Other countries in the world right now, I don't think the current federation of those teams will still be in charge. Other countries will have probably resigned because it's a failure, a big failure, not just for the women's team, but for stream down to the men's national team and then under 17s. I think it's just the 17 women and the 20 women that have done so well in terms of qualifying for the World Cup. We saw what happened with the AFCON yesterday. We saw what happened with the under 17. We saw what happened with the under 20 of the men's side. So that's been disaster after disaster for the current federation. And honestly, I have no idea how he had the face to still come up and say, re-elect me. It's sad. For Justin Madugu, I don't know. I followed him. I've always given probably like a defendant, his lawyer, when it comes to people talking about how poor he is tactically in handling these girls. What's about the Super Falcons of Nigeria is that they will always have quality. Nigeria generally will always have quality. We have the players, we have the talents, we have down to the grassroots, we always have quality. The problem is having to galvanize these players into a fantastic team setup. People always say that he won the WAFCON last year due to down to players' brilliance. And I want to say that, yes, he made some changes in the final of Morocco to bring up players that changed the team. Echegini, if I brought that onto the pitch, probably wouldn't have said a different story. But yes, there are times where I think he was very, very poor in his decision-making. We had Miracle Sene, left back, who went to the last WAFCON. She didn't go. And he tried to deploy the same Ashley Plumpton tactics of last year, play Alozie at the left back. And we saw how Alozie struggled. Yeah, she did try her best, but you could see that she struggled to, make a very good outing for herself and even for the team in that position. People thought, okay, maybe why is Ohale starting games like this when you have Oladipo Shukurat, who won the best defender in Italy, right, playing right back. So there's so much mismatch on these teams. Players playing out of position. Yes, they are versatile, but then play the players in positions where they are better and they can give you main results they want. He went with a core players, so many players, attacking talents, Gift Monday, Joy Omewa. What happened? Yesterday's game was calling out for, I always said it's beginning of tournament, midfield-wise, on this tournament, of all those 16 teams that came, Cameroon has one of the best midfielders. And you look at the midfielders, the combination of both the youth and the experience. The goal scorer, 20-year-old, you said. And what happened to our own 20-year-old? We have players like Janex, who recently signed to Benfica. We have Usene, who has gone to Turkish Super League, the first team football. We have Florence Sebastian, very tricky winger, left on the sides. We have players from our on the 20 setup and the 17 setup that probably should have merged. When last did we see a certain Oshola kind of vibes in the Super Falcons? Because we saw how Oshola moved from the ranks, Ajibade, then Uchebi. When would this happen with us? When would this happen? The last coach to do that for us was Randy Waldrum, and that's what Justin Madugu is currently enjoying right now. But he himself didn't do himself a favor. And maybe the Federation too also, not maybe, but they did, because friendly matches would have helped him to get the players he needed. But the little friendly matches he got, he was inviting players that probably he didn't even use in the tournament. The likes of Ngozi Okobi, a couple of players, Blessing, Liviega. You have limited friendly matches. You know the federation you're working under. Those are times where you probably get your strongest legs and make use of the friendly you've got. But he didn't do that. And the first game against Malawi, the fact that Esther Okoronkwo, who was our star player in the last WAFCON, came into this tournament back of injury for her club side. Even Alozie herself came up from injury. She went to Iezu also, back from injury. So a couple of players, even Deborah Abiodun, back from injury. So a couple of players who are back from injury. But we had friendly matches where these girls have played, and you have tested other players that you think that you will bring into the squad. He won't be where he is right now. Because you look at the likes of Malawi, Zambia even, listen to their coaches and their post-match and pre-match conferences. They'll tell you that the FIFA series for the women helped them, friendly matches helped them. Every international window was utilized by their federation. It can't be the same for Nigeria. We had 2 missed international windows. We had to beg for Cameroon last minute, Senegal last minute, Tanzania last minute, Senegal last minute. We cancelled against Ghana. Those are for 10-time champions. It's a slap to our faces. And you ask the NFF, and they come up with stories like, oh, they want to play against Nigeria in African continent. Like, how do you tell Nigerians that, oh, you are approaching teams and teams do not want to play Super Falcons? How then do they want to now make progress if you want to play against the best of the best? Kudos to Cameroon, because they went back to the drawing board. They didn't qualify, but then they got the white card, like Onye said, and they ensured that they brought in so many new players. Eto lady player on the squad, their midfield, Ngamanga, who scored 3 goals for them. All these players are players that I'm not really sure they played a friendly match against Nigeria the last time these sides met. They made progress, and we just stayed stagnated.
All
and
right.
Unfortunately for us and the girls, the rest of the world, I'm not even saying that it's not as if any team in this tournament has blown me away in terms of how they've played. Morocco themselves, for me, I would say Morocco of last year are playing better than Morocco of this year.
This year.
But they still have how do I call it? They still have this understanding. They still have the tactics. They have a very good coach with the side.
Right.
And this is the best time, I think, for them to probably win the WAFCON. If they don't win it now, I think that's the end of the road for them.
Right, but of course, definitely it is the end of the road for Super Falcons of Nigeria at the WAFCON, and we look forward to see if they can get it against South Africa, talking about them picking up intercontinental spots for the FIFA Women's World Cup 2027. Amara Obah, I say thank you very much. Of course, your analysis is a very beautiful one and quite emotional as well. But we look forward to the next game for Nigeria. Cote d'Ivoire will take on Ghana. South Africa will take on Nigeria for the playoffs for the Women's World Cup. Thank you very much, Amara, for joining the show today. All right, still talking about Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Malawi completed a remarkable rise at the tournament, reaching the semifinals and securing their first ever Women's World Cup qualification after defeating Ghana 2-1 in Rabat on Sunday. The Scorchers fell behind after Chantel Boye-Clocker puts Ghana ahead in the 7th minute, but Temacha Wingers' deflected effort restored parity 5 minutes later. Now, Rose Kajere then completed Malawi's comeback in the 79th minute, firing past Cynthia Conlan to seal a historic victory. Ranked 153rd in the world and making their first WAFCON appearance, Malawi had already stunned defending champions Nigeria in the group stage. They will face Algeria in Wednesday's semi-final, while the qualification for the 2027 World Cup in Brazil marks another landmark achievement. We have Andrew Sefa, who is a Ghanaian sports journalist. Andrew, thank you very much for joining. The same disappointment, I mean, we are brothers and we have to hold our hands, both in joy and in sadness. Now, both it's sad for our team's loss at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations for Nigeria and, of course, for the Black Queens of Ghana.
Yeah, for the Black Queens, a very disappointing defeat. And to be very honest, they haven't been convincing all tournaments. In the first game against Cape Verde, they weren't at their fluid best. But luckily for them, they met a team who were very much inexperienced. And so they got away with that. And they met a better team, an experienced side in Cameroon, and they lost that game. In the third game against Mali, they drew the game. So the signs were on the wall that the team had not yet gelled properly, and then the team were not up to speed with the pace of the tournament. And last night against Malawi, the team were really, really exposed against the Malawians. I'll say that efficiency won yesterday against a very good Malawi side who really relied on their counter-attack. They relied on the pace of the Chawinga sisters, and they did hurt Ghana badly in transition. And also, their quality shown throughout the match. For Ghana, after taking the lead in the early minutes, I think the Black Queens were a bit laid back. I didn't like their approach after scoring early. We sat back, we soaked a lot of pressure, and then they hit back. And after that, the in-game management in the second half was underwhelming because the coach took off 3 players in the 70th minute. And 9 minutes after that, the Black Queens conceded the second goal, which proved to be their ultimate sucker punch, and they never seemed to come back. So unfortunately, it's ended for the team. I look at this team and I believe they could have done more. Attacking-wise, I think the team was blunt up front. Doris Boydua, who's the main attacking threat, was not scoring a lot. And yesterday, a lot of Ghanaians were saying that he should have been the one who should have made way as part of the substitute. But the coach kept faith in her, kept her on the pitch. And I don't know why. I'm guessing it's because of the way the coach likes to play. He likes to press from the front. And Doris Boydua has a lot of energy for that, for pressing and then leading the charge from the front. But generally, it was a disappointing tournament for the Black Queens. And deservedly so. I think Malawi, they were brilliant throughout the competition. They beat Nigeria in their first ever game at the WAFCON, and so they were a good side. But for Ghana, we just look at ourselves and then we wonder, because we beat this very same Malawi side in the lead up to the tournament. So why did we feel when it mattered most? And I have said this before the tournament started, that the team has not qualified for the WAFCON since 2007. It's been almost 20 years, and there's an underlying problem. The underlying problem here is that when it gets to the crescendo, when the pressure is at its highest peak, the team just crumbles. And I think it just happened yesterday. Everything unfolded right before our eyes. They just crumbled and then they lost their way. And at the end of the day, we now have to go into the playoffs.
All right, talking about the playoffs now, qualifying for the FIFA Women's World Cup, do you think that Ghana will stand a chance? Because it's a tough road. Because when you win this game, it is not automatic qualification. There's also the intercontinental playoff tournament that has to go down, winning about 2 or 3 matches, they can secure qualification. Do you think there's a chance for the Black Queens of Ghana?
I don't know why we would put ourselves in such a situation. You had a very easy route in front of you. The only way out was to just beat Malawi, and then you have qualification secured. You don't need to go and pass this stage and then try and earn a ticket to the 2027 Women's World Cup. It will be very difficult because Ivory Coast would also know that this is their final stake at the World Cup spots. They'll put all their eggs in this basket. They'll want to qualify. I think it will be difficult. It's not improbable, but it will take something significant from what we have seen at this tournament. So they would have to outdo themselves if they want to get there. Because mind you are going to meet other teams who play better than you do. So it will be very, very, very difficult. I can't say certainly that the Black Queens would make it. Based on what I have seen at this WAFCON, I don't think they have enough to go to the World Cup.
Wow, quite a sad one right there for Ghana and also for Nigeria. But we'll keep our fingers crossed ahead of the playing tournament for Ghana and, of course, for Nigeria. We'll see how that turns out for these 2 teams. Hopefully, they can still go through the back door by making it to the FIFA Women's World Cup Brazil 2027. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today, and we wish Ghana all the best.